Hi guys, in a previous session, if you can remember, we had a discussion on economic growth and stimulation of a country, and this was related to companies that manufactures products that uses raw material and machinery and labor in order to manufacture the product, and the product is sold to a customer according to customer requirement. Today we're going to talk about the service companies which do not manufacture products like the manufacturing companies. Instead, they provide service, and it has to be proper service that is as per requirement by customers. So we are going to discuss briefly on how we can enhance and improve economic growth of a country through the service companies. Firstly, I would like to give you a brief definition of a product in order for us to understand very well the whole concept of the discussion. All right. The definition of product is in such that it says at the core of any business, there lies the product or service. The product is the business lifeblood, as all income and profit emanates from it. And in choosing and designing the product, the business is guided by customers. Although it may guide customers by means of advertising and research. So for every company, there lies a product or service, which is the lifeblood of a company. Without these two, there can never be a company. The customer and the product itself would decide the destiny of the company. So today, as we are going to talk about the service companies, I will choose in this case the banking sector, which is one of the major service companies in the country. And then also I'd like to give a brief definition of a banking institution. By definition, a banking institution is an institution whereby a customer provides money in some form to the bank in order to make interest in a form of investment or saving the money. It doesn't matter how long and how short is the period, but the prime important objective, in this case the product, is money. So the bank has to provide service, the appropriate service, in order that the customer's money must generate interest in order for the company to make profit. So if you look at how it is going on now, it is sometimes a bit worrying, because I think the banking sector is losing the point here, of the product and service. What do I mean by that? if you look at the picture of Dave above here, which we will discuss in detail, it shows you that something is missing there. A lot of things are missing or are done in an appropriate manner, which results in most cases into companies retrenching people, companies get reduced from a certain level to a lower level. Companies ended up closing down completely because they are missing important aspects of the business that results in a case of Dave above here. So in the banking sector, what seems to be a bit of a problem is the following. Lately, they have, for customers that deposit money in the bank, for them to provide service to the customer, they have what they call deposit charges. They have what they call withdrawal charges. And these are actually tariffs. They're not designed to be profit or any form of benefiting the company. They're actually meant to be part of service in order for the product to produce results. In reality, they are either aimed at eliminating or improving the level of service in a broad spectrum. But what the banks are doing, they charge you when you deposit your money in a bank. It's like, let's take an example. If I take my car for service or a penalty at the garage, I have to pay money because I'm depositing my car to the garage to be serviced or at a penalty. I must pay a deposit. And then the same time when I come to collect, when they say we finished you for money, or they tell you that your car is finished now, it's ready for you to collect, you have to pay, apart from the charges that you were charged for servicing the car or for the repairs and the penalty of the car, you charge an amount that you are withdrawing the car from our premises, so you have to pay. It's not a form of a service business, because that's more like a tariff. A tariff, it's used in a broad spectrum for countries that don't want, if they don't want you to import, they'll increase. If they don't want you to export products to them, they'll increase the tariffs. Or if they don't want companies internally to export products to other companies, then they will increase the tariffs. So in this case, these are tariffs as well. And the customer has to pay for them. It means the customer has to pay that he deposited the money and he's withdrawing the money. The other charges that we always find that are very exorbitant, which are also still tariffs. Today when you get your statement at the bank, You get what they call monthly service fee. You get what you call administration charges. You get what we call transactional charges. So meaning that everything you do or any transaction you're doing, you get charged on a monthly basis. It doesn't matter as to whether it's monthly service fee, administration fee, transactional charges. So which make customers to choose where the transactional charges are expensive, where the deposit and withdrawal charges are expensive. So therefore, the customer what is going to do is going to choose the bank where there's minimal, if not none in very few cases, where there's charges like this, you know. And then lastly, they have got a tool called an app, which is one of the recent acquisition for banks. An app has never been designed as a profit-making mechanism. An app has been designed as a tool that advances the system of the company. So if it is a tool that forms part of the system of the company, it can never be a profit-making mechanism. That's totally wrong. Why do I say that? Most banks, especially older banks, that are not so very technological, that are not so very strategic, that are not so are still using, the old system of doing things. An app is a tool that is aimed at benefiting the customer. It's not a tool that is aimed at benefiting the bank, because the customer does his own transaction on his cell phone. The customer does all the deposits, the withdrawals, the payments, whatever transaction he wants to do. But he uses his own equipment, his own data, his own airtime to process all the transactions that you want. And then these were the transactions that were previously done by the bank. But because the customer is doing it by himself, he still gets charged from the app for the monthly charges, transactional charges, and all other many charges. Which is why you find that in the case of Dave above here, you can see that Dave is doing most of the job by himself, because the app has resulted the company in downsizing themselves in order to eliminate customer service. Whilst in a manufacturing company, proper manufacturing of the product and proper delivery of the product to a customer satisfy the customer need. here in the banking section, the customer is now doing his own transaction. He uses his own equipment. He does all whatever he needs to do on himself because the bank is not doing it anymore. So this benefits the bank because they reduced customer service level because of the app, which is not a service provision equipment. I mean, it's not a profit-making equipment. It's actually meant to be an improving system for the customer. It must serve the needs of the customer, not the needs of the bank, in order that the bank must reduce the number of employees, which is why you see in many cases when you come to the bank today, it takes you half a day to be served because most of the employees are no longer there, to do all the different functions. Only 2 or 3 employees are there. Over and all above, what does it tell us now? The triangle that we were talking about, where the higher section is smaller because it's only for decision making. It's all executives making decisions and taking the necessary steps that needs to be followed. And the middle end and the middle level, it's for the execution, how things needs to be executed, and it's a link between the customer and employees. I mean the management and the employees. And the the last big section, it's actually the employees. That's where most of the people who are doing the work should be. And if that's not the case, that is where we see Dave above here. Dave above on a picture here. He is doing most of the job. All the middle managers there are sitting and waiting for Dave. And they're thinking that he's the one that should be retrained. Because they're not coping to satisfy the customer needs. And then as you see all of them there, nobody seems to be even helping Dave, to enhance and improve the economic growth of the company. Which is why, in our case in South Africa, one bank enjoys the services, actually one youngest bank in the country enjoys the services of over 50% of the banking sector, of the banking customer. Because it has, in one shopping complex, you'll find that it has 3 branches. Whereas all the other banks, you find that it's a small, decreased branch. This one uses 3 huge branches in one shopping center. Starts at 9 o'clock, closes at 5 o'clock. The service level, you'd never spend 15 minutes in that bank. Even the ATM machines are more than enough. That's what we call customer service. For an example, recently I know the GDP for the US, for America, is over 65% of the country, because they're not a very um, 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 manufacturing type of a country, you know. They are mostly service. They get a lot of visitors, investors, and people who are service oriented, who need service oriented structures, and they serve customers so well. They're very advanced. They understand the importance of customer service. So in our case in South Africa, if you look at the situation of Dave up here, that company is going to close very soon, because that triangle that we're talking about, of the senior management, middle management, and employees, has turned out to be upside down. It's now going like this, because Dave is alone by himself there. The middle managers are here waiting for him. The executives and the directors above are also waiting for him. So basically, in some cases, Dave is paying the salaries of these people who are thinking that he needs to be retrenched soon. So I'm talking about this to younger generation, to young South Africans, that if we want to improve our economic strategies, we have to look at the latest technological standards. It can never be like how it was 50, 70, 90 years ago. It can never be structural, like I said in my previous sessions. Because structural, you follow one procedure all the time. Always you do one thing in the same procedure all the time. So for service company or institution, please note that it is important, very important, to be service oriented. Actually, they say in any business institution, the biggest tool of marketing is face-to-face customer service. No, it's not taking the tools and making them do customer service for you. It's never taking the tariffs, because banks are not, you don't see many banks advertising themselves how much interest they're making better than other banks, how much interest on investment they're making better than other banks. They don't do that any longer, because they are mainly, aimed at serving the executives only, because at the lower level, there's nobody doing the job. So their salaries or whatever they need, the revenue of the company comes mainly from the tariffs. That's why if you go to a bank today, if you want a 3-month statement, it used to be 4 pages at an ATM. But now if you do a 3-month statement, it's like 45, 39 pages, because it includes your cell phone purchases, your app applications, your whatever, all the transaction, everything. Even if you buy airtime for 20 Rand, they're going to charge you 1 Rand 50. If you buy airtime for 500 rand, they're going to charge you 35 rand, 45 rand. So it's of cardinal importance that banking institutions or service companies, there are many other service companies. You get your medical aid, your insurance companies, your university institutions. They all depend on tariffs. It's normal, like provide service and then make profit out of service. So for us as South Africans, especially the youth, the world is revolving. Honestly, the world is revolving, and then economical dynamics are changing. So we need to do something. We must start doing these things now. Read the appropriate books, study the proper strategies. The Chinese, the Japanese are doing things in a very significant and appropriate manner. We cannot follow the old procedure that we had many years ago and think that we will grow our economy. So for all of us, I hope we do the right thing. Thank you.